11th recording, history of Nintendo. Here we go. 1889, a man named Fushijiro Yamauchi began manufacturing Hanafuda cards in Kyoto. It's pretty cool. Hanafuda cards are like flower cards and are basically gambling cards. Nothing much happens between years, just a bunch of business deals for making Western style cards. Not until in the 1950s, Fushijiro Yamauchi took office as president and headed towards the manufacturing operation of Yamauchi Nintendo & Co. Earlier, the title of Nintendo was changed to Yamauchi Nintendo & Co. After Nintendo's successful attempt in cards on Hanafuda cards, becoming one of the number one sellers of playing cards, Fushijiro Yamauchi wanted to change some things up a bit and wanted to head for some more entertainment. So, between the 1960s and 1950s, up to like 1970s, he did a couple of interesting entertainment values, such as one of those robot arm things, things called love hotels, which are really weird, taxi service, and one of those toy laser gun things that would make the pew pew sounds whenever you shot. And these went extremely, half of them really failed, didn't do well. Well, others did well, such as the claw arm thing and the ray gun. Now, it wasn't until the 1980s that Nintendo released the all-famous arcade game Donkey Kong. The art was directed by Shigeru Miyamoto, and the Game & Watch, which used projected digital lights, and it was pretty cool, if I would have to say so myself, just by seeing images, and I'd probably, if I could have one, I would have one. Now, it wasn't until the 1986 that the Super Famicom, or the Nintendo Entertainment System, was released worldwide, and it sold pretty good. Original Super Mario game, original Legend of Zelda game, original Metroid game, all of those games. Pretty remarkable. Now, in 1989, the Game Boy was released, along with Tetris. And not to brag, I'm pretty good at Tetris, I'm just gonna say that now. But that was released, and the next year after, in 1990, the Super Famicom, or the Super NES, was released. And it did have some competitors. That was Sega. At one point, Sega did go above Nintendo's sales, but it dropped down quite quickly. Now, a couple years later, the Nintendo 64 was released. Now, this console was released about 2 years after the PS1 was released. PS1 was its true competitor. Sega wasn't really doing so well at this point. Now, the PS1 sold superiorly better than the Nintendo 64. But the Nintendo 64 still had some great games like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Mario 64. Still some good games. Now, when 1999 rolled around, Nintendo released one of their biggest franchises, which was Pokemon. You've heard of Pokemon. They're like the second biggest franchise in the world in entertainment business. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's kind of crazy. 2001 rolled around, and with 2001 went rolling around, Nintendo released the GameCube, which was competitors the PS2 and the original Xbox, the straight Xbox. Sega was still around with the Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast didn't sell as well. PS2 was a very hard competitor at the time, because that thing sold incredibly fast, and it's one of the most sold consoles to date. A couple of years later, 2005 rolled around. Nintendo DS was released after many different Game Boy games. Not Game Boy games, but Game Boy styles of consoles. There's many different versions up to the DS. There's Game Boy Original, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced SCP, Game Boy Micro, and They were just very small, but they still worked. But each system just grew more big. And then DS rolled around with its big release. Now, for home consoles, 2007 rolled around, and the Wii released with its competitors as the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Sega is now teamed up with Nintendo and releasing games alongside with Nintendo. But honestly, it was a very interesting competitors because the Wii did really well. One of them, it sold incredibly fast, incredibly well. Got Wii Sports got one of the most sold games in the top 10. Became one of the top 10s. Same Mario Kart, Wii. So we definitely succeeded in those times. Now, lots of game announcements on the Wii. Lots of Legend of Zelda games. I think only one Legend of Zelda game. Actually, two. Mario games, Mario Galaxy games, and Mario Kart Wii games. Probably the most recognizable, Mario Kart Wii. But it wasn't until 2011 that the 3DS, the successor to the DS, was released, and it did well too. The first version was quite small, and then they released the 3DS XL alongside. Now, 2012 was, and beyond, it was a rough year for Nintendo. The Wii U released, and it was facing the PS4 and the Xbox One, which did not do well. The Wii U didn't have anything special about it. It was just added on Wii accessory. That's what it was. It was accessory for the original Wii, and that's basically it. They didn't have anything to bring to the table. It had some good games, but it didn't have anything cool about it. But then again, I haven't seen a difference between the controllers or anything between the PS4 and the PS3. All I know is just updated graphics, which is fair. That's a big enough difference. Now, the last big console was released in 2017. That was the Nintendo Switch, which everyone knows practically now, in the class at least. And that actually released on my birthday, which was interesting. And we got one, and now my brother has it. He lives in Victoria. But that's the last big thing for Nintendo, and currently it's been going fine with Nintendo. It's been quite basic. Nothing major's been happening. But lots of different IPs from Nintendo, such as Pokemon, Super Smash Bros., Legend of Zelda, Mario, Metroid, Animal Crossing, all those great IPs, great games. Anyways, that's it. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching my video if you're forced. Bye.